Welcome to the deep dive. Um, have you ever been just completely, unavoidably cornered?
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst feeling.
Right. Like you're walking into a room and you know you are unequivocally in the wrong. Maybe you missed a massive project deadline, or you're showing up 45 minutes late to a crucial career-defining meeting.
And your brain just goes into total overdrive.
Exactly. You're desperately trying to spin this narrative, just weaving this intricate web of excuses on the fly, hoping to somehow talk your way out of the crash. We have all been there.
Oh, totally.
And today we have an absolute masterclass in that exact survival instinct. We're looking at this brilliantly witty script excerpt, and it's titled The Conserved Energy of Leo Higgins.
It's such a great piece.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive isn't just to, recap a funny scene between a student and a teacher. We are putting this text under a psychological microscope. We want to analyze the mindset of the witty slacker, the mechanics of conversational deflection, and this hilariously accurate but entirely misapplied use of actual science to justify just, avoiding work.
Yeah, it's a fascinating character study in avoidance, really, and quick thinking.
Definitely.
To kind of set the foundation for you listening, the environment itself establishes the conflict before a single word is spoken. We have Mr. Higgins, the teacher, and he's facing a blackboard writing out this dense, uncompromising subject, just the word, in all caps, thermodynamics.
Oh man, just that word sounds heavy.
Right. It establishes this atmosphere of strict, unbreakable academic structure. Physics just, it doesn't care about your excuses.
No, it does not.
And then the door creaks open, and in sneaks our protagonist, Leo, literally tiptoeing. So we immediately get this visual and thematic collision. The rigid laws of physics on the board versus the chaotic, fluid, rule-bending energy of Leo slipping into the room.
And that collision is just so apparent right away. Higgins doesn't even turn around from the board. He just goes, "Back so soon, Leo." Or are you just exceptionally early for tomorrow's class?
Such a classic teacher burn.
It really is. And instead of doing what, 99% of us would do, which is mumble an apology or blame the bus, Leo completely reframes reality. He says, I prefer the term chronologically challenged, sir.
What's fascinating here is how Leo immediately attempts to strip away the moral failing of being late.
Right.
By rejecting the word late and substituting chronologically challenged, he's like hijacking the language of systemic disadvantage.
Wow, yeah.
He's subtly telling Higgins, look, I didn't actively choose to disrespect your time. I'm just afflicted by a condition regarding time itself. It's a linguistic shield.
That is wild.
And when Higgins presses him, Leo goes a step further and blames his tardiness on a, quote, creative disagreement with his alarm clock.
It's like he's this slick defense attorney who puts the actual concept of time on trial. Isn't he basically treating his alarm clock like a hostile witness?
Yes, exactly.
He personifies this inanimate piece of plastic just so he has an equal partner to blame. Like, it's not Leo's fault he was asleep. It was a breakdown in complex negotiations. His clock wanted him to wake up, and Leo wanted to stay asleep to dream about a world where homework is illegal.
That is exactly the mechanism at play. It's this brilliant psychological maneuver to reduce cognitive dissonance. By making the clock an active participant, with its own agenda, he completely removes his own agency.
He's the victim of the clock.
Right. He transforms a failure of personal discipline into this philosophical dispute. He even elevates his oversleeping into a matter of principle. He tells Higgins that if he doesn't stand up for his dreams, who will?
Which is just so funny.
Grammatically and structurally, he is framing his avoidance as a noble defense of personal ideals. He makes it sound like waking up on time would have been a moral compromise.
Which really makes you think about how we frame our own delays. I mean, for you listening right now, think about how you navigate uncomfortable moments in your own professional or academic life. When you miss a target at work, are you apologizing? Or are you, creatively disagreeing with the production schedule?
Oh, that's such a good point.
Do you admit a mistake? Or do you reframe it as a synergy misalignment with the project timeline? We see this in corporate environments all the time. Failure gets wrapped up in this dense defensive jargon to avoid admitting any real fault.
We do see it constantly. It's that human instinct to sanitize a mistake through vocabulary. But of course, Higgins represents reality here. And reality doesn't entirely buy the jargon.
No, it doesn't. Higgins threatens to give Leo's principals a Saturday detention.
Exactly. So Higgins tries to reassert the rules. But Leo's strategy of reframing isn't just a one-off trick. When linguistic gymnastics fail to secure his safety, the conversation shifts from his physical presence to his academic output, specifically a missing essay.
And this is where the escalation becomes truly fascinating. Higgins asks the class to pass forward their essays on the impact of industrialization. And Leo just goes into full physical comedy mode.
Oh, the padding of the pockets.
Yeah, he's frantically patting his pockets, looking under his desk, making such a scene that Higgins actually asks if there's a small earthquake happening. And Leo drops the absolute oldest excuse in the book, but with a modern upgrade. He claims his dog ate his MacBook.
Which is such an absurd escalation. I mean, Higgins rightly questions the logistics of a dog eating a laptop.
Right. How does that even work?
And Leo defends it by explaining with total sincerity that he has a megabyte-sized dog with very high-tech tastes. We have moved completely out of philosophical deflection and directly into sheer absurdity.
But it turns out, this level of absurdity is his baseline. Higgins starts listing Leo's past excuses to the whole class. Just last week, Leo claimed his essay was stolen by a rogue mime. A rogue mime. Just brilliant. And the week before that, the homework apparently evaporated due to global warming. And Leo's defense against all this mounting evidence, he just sighs, plays the martyr, and says he is a victim of very specific circumstances.
The word victim there is doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting.
Oh, tons.
But let's look at the underlying mechanics of excuses like the rogue mime or the evaporating homework. Their real genius lies in their radical specificity and blatant falsehood.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Leo knows he doesn't have the homework. Higgins knows he doesn't have the homework. If Leo told a boring, plausible lie like I left it on my kitchen counter or my printer broke, he would actually be insulting Higgins's intelligence.
I see.
By using a rogue mime, Leo is effectively paying his late fee in sheer entertainment value. He's acknowledging his failure, but giving his teacher a performance in exchange for leniency.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I really have to push back on Mr. Higgins's role in all of this.
Okay, go for it.
Isn't Higgins essentially enabling this behavior?
Yeah.
By keeping a running tally of these ridiculous excuses, like remembering the mime, bringing up the global warming evaporation, he's validating Leo's creativity. He's providing an audience.
That's fair.
At what point does the entertainment value stop compensating for a literal zero in the gradebook? Like, if Higgins genuinely wanted this behavior to stop, wouldn't he just refuse to engage with the banter entirely?
That's a really crucial observation. It highlights the complex dynamic between them. Higgins is absolutely a participant in this game. He is the captive, albeit reluctant audience for Leo's one-man show.
Yeah, he's totally playing along.
And I think this resonates profoundly with what we see in highly creative, highly intelligent individuals in the real world. How many times have you, the listener, or someone you work with, expended massive amounts of creative energy building elaborate systems or writing incredibly detailed emails just to avoid doing a mundane assigned task?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
People will build automated spreadsheets to get out of doing 5 minutes of manual data entry.
Exactly. The intellectual effort Leo puts into his avoidance could easily have written 3 essays on industrialization.
It's the ultimate paradox of the lazy overachiever, working twice as hard to avoid the work. But Higgins eventually has to draw a line, right? The entertainment tax runs out.
Right.
He tells Leo that the only thing he'll be carrying is a 0, unless he can explain the first law of thermodynamics right there on the spot. He demands cold, hard facts.
And this brings us to the core twist of Leo's character. It shifts the entire power dynamic of the room. Higgins expects Leo to stumble. He expects this chaotic energy to hit the brick wall of hard science.
But he doesn't.
No, Leo doesn't stumble at all. He instantly and correctly defines the law. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. The revelation here is that Leo actually knows the material.
Wait, he just rattles it off?
Yep, he isn't ignorant. He is just unmotivated by traditional metrics.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Leo doesn't just recite the fact to save his grade and sit down. He immediately weaponizes the science. He takes this fundamental law of physics and twists it to justify his own behavior. He tells Higgins that, according to the universe, his lack of effort isn't laziness, it's just conserved energy. He proudly declares he's being very eco-friendly by not doing his homework.
It's amazing.
Leo is essentially practicing conversational judo. He takes the heavy, immovable weight of the first law of thermodynamics and uses its own momentum to flip the teacher right over his shoulder.
Conversational judo is the perfect analogy. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the underlying logic is that Leo is taking an objective, scientific truth and bending it to fit a wildly subjective, self-serving narrative.
Right.
In physics, the first law means energy merely shifts from one form to another, like potential energy turning into kinetic. Leo argues that his academic potential energy is simply being conserved rather than expended on an essay.
It's so clever.
He possesses a genuinely sharp intellect, but he applies it strictly to defensive maneuvers and self-preservation, not productive output.
And it's fascinating how often we see people use absolute, verifiable facts to justify totally absurd behavior. You see it in negotiations, where someone will drop a technically true statistic to completely derail the spirit of a conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this dangerous cocktail of intelligence and avoidance. Leo is just a hilarious warning about the dangers of having just enough knowledge to be dangerous, prioritizing cleverness over actual application.
Precisely. And when Higgins points out the flaw in this, that if Leo actually applied his intelligence, he could be running NASA Leo effortlessly dodges that too.
Of course he does.
He claims NASA is far too stressful and labels himself a stay-at-home philosopher.
And then he goes after the humanities. He asks why they even need to study history, arguing, the people are dead, the rest in peace. He is perfectly willing to casually dismiss entire academic disciplines if they don't serve his immediate need to just relax.
But notice how Higgins handles this. A lesser teacher would just yell at him to sit down and be quiet.
Yeah, just send him to the principal.
Right. But Higgins meets him exactly on his level. Higgins takes Leo's dismissal of history and turns it into a perfectly tailored life lesson. He counters by saying, we study history so you don't repeat the same mistakes. Like, for example, thinking you can pass this class without opening a book.
Oh, it's an incredible counterstrike.
Huh.
Higgins uses the exact same conversational judo right back at him. He uses Leo's own premise to trap him. And that leads to this fascinating stalemate.
Yeah, they're completely deadlocked.
Because Leo has proven he knows the facts, so Higgins can't just call him ignorant. But Higgins has proven he won't let Leo manipulate the system entirely, so Leo can't just win with a joke.
Exactly. And to break a stalemate, someone has to change the rules of engagement. Higgins realizes that forcing sheer compliance isn't going to work on a student like Leo. So Higgins shifts the dynamic entirely.
What does he do?
He moves it from a traditional teacher-student scolding into a high-stakes compromise, a battle of wits. He gives Leo an ultimatum. Answer one question correctly and get an extension on the essay. Fail, and you are cleaning the chalkboards for a month.
And Leo, completely unfazed by the risk, just goes, I like those odds. Shoot. He thrives on the gamble.
He loves it.
So Higgins asks the trick question. He asks, what is the hardest thing to find in this classroom? And the text makes it clear that the intended answer, the moral Higgins wants to impart, is your focus.
Right. It's a setup for a final pedagogical lecture. Higgins is teeing up a lesson on attention and discipline. But Leo refuses to play by those traditional rules.
Naturally.
He looks around the room, and his first guess is a deliberate jab. He says, your sense of humor on a Monday morning.
So bold.
And Higgins actually has to try not to laugh at that point. Shows the stoic armor is cracking.
And the Leo delivers the knockout punch. He drops the jokes and says, wait, I have a better answer. The hardest thing to find is the end of this conversation.
So good.
And Higgins just sighs, checks the clock, and laughs. He concedes the match, he grants the extension, and warns Leo to keep his megabyte dog on a low-carb, no-laptop diet.
That laugh is everything. It is the resolution of the entire scene. Higgins intentionally set a subjective, philosophical trap instead of asking another hard science question. He gave Leo the space to be clever.
Yeah, he opened the door for it.
By laughing, Higgins makes the ultimate concession, but it's a calculated leadership move. He maintains his authority by setting the final terms. The essay is still due tomorrow, but he validates Leo's wit and emotional intelligence in the process.
So what does this all mean for their dynamic? I really have to wonder, did Higgins actually want to lose that bet?
By asking a subjective question instead of just writing another complex physics equation on the board, didn't he basically hand Leo the microphone for a stand-up routine?
I think so, yeah.
He had to know Leo was going to swing for the fences with a punchline instead of a serious answer.
It's highly likely Higgins knew exactly what he was doing, and this is a brilliant lesson in reading the room for you, the listener. Leo recognized that breaking Higgins' stoicism and making him laugh was his actual ticket out. Far more than reciting another law of thermodynamics.
That makes a lot of sense. It proves that sometimes pure emotional intelligence, audacity, and the ability to connect on a human level can save you when your academic or professional preparation has completely failed. Leo successfully traded a punchline for a deadline extension, and Higgins accepted that unconventional currency.
It's an incredible journey when you map it all out.
Yeah.
We watched Leo go from a chronologically challenged late arrival, sneaking through the door, to a master negotiator who walked away with exactly what he wanted.
He really did.
He navigated strict deadlines, a missing MacBook, the fundamental laws of thermodynamics, and a high-stakes wager, all through the sheer power of relentless weaponized charm.
It truly is a masterclass in deflection. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something that builds on this dynamic but kind of challenges our standard view of productivity.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Consider Leo's use of the first law of thermodynamics one more time. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, it merely changes form. What if Leo's academic drive isn't missing at all? What if, in our traditional classrooms and in our own corporate workplaces, we consistently mislabel unconventional energy as laziness simply because it's not powering the specific traditional machine we built? Leo clearly has immense intellectual energy. It's just taking the form of evasion and wit rather than standard compliance.
Oh, wow. That is such a phenomenal way to look at it. Are we punishing people for not fitting the machine instead of figuring out how to harness the massive amounts of energy they actually have?
Exactly.
That completely changes how you look at the slacker in your office or classroom. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep questioning the world around you. Definitely keep an eye out for those rogue mimes stealing your paperwork.
Always.
And no matter how cornered you feel, always keep digging deep.